Yemo bibia kwaba na yem founder yem platform we so Andrew BBC or Parliament and Andrew na in fact the meaning no corrigi it was very chaotic na enya ade a e was say ye hwe no TV so especially our young girls and boys are omoba our person members of parliament our person politicians and what they see it was very uncalled for and I was say condemning now when Dr. Zaato you need so a political analyst but on no bomia nipa pa and our planting with TV3 debi okasaman because TV3 why your mind some sorry NPP for some mom call for TV3 and kokasabio because of ade omo ya TV3 media general at large. Now our class with the director of communications Edema Alam Kwajuchi Mantin the United Party Owura Solomon Owusu ni na efa sansem ya ndo isi wo parliament efa pandai rerun ebekoso ehu na ndo amehwe no wo television na amehwe no wo social media no na ya dia na ya dia enyenyenyenyenye in fact na time so be members of parliament power from honorable na omo dede wonbreko a parliamentary proceedings ekoso na Hamza say Hamza on right Hamza da na mebisa a capture on these things. It was very appalling behavior and I was say condemn yenkoti nsema ekoso Roland Walker ni show no eso yenti how things went on between Yoga Solomon Owusu and Dr. Zaato, the political analyst for NPP Amanyiko. Na friend so Yoga Musa dan kwanso woni say o ye political poster what you say ban say yenhwehwe nsem yenhwehwe obi obedi nkunim wo abato mu a or the figures bi aba montin so or the percentages bi aba montin so ayefa NPP omo primaries ni ehuna ehu mabo omia because we percentage na o kan ho asem na me say me doubt kakra but anyway ono no ye ne conduct e ba no ni research ono no conduct ye de echichiri na ye hwe no nti se waba montin so wabeka and he has a track record what I say meaning bi akwa no predict 2024 elections when Edman DC e can percentage ni na ebom kama nti se ne wo kasa nsem we ya is just there is a question mark somewhere I always say na yetina se na yehwe especially bo me ne campaign any mama kayentin seni bi na yakoba ya toaso edia meso so do comment betum na wa like na wa share na foforo enye bia mo fanche me isan say this is not the normal way of my video I'm creating into mo fanche me yentin seni bi.
And then usually we start with the prayer. Then when the prayer was said and business was about to start, then the minority chief whip Honorable Dompre got up and said he had an urgent statement to make and that he was praying for a variation of the business for the day to allow him to make the statement. Well, that was granted him. And the statement was to the effect that the majority took a strong position against the decision by the clerk of parliament, and if you like by extension, the speaker of parliament, to notify the EC of the vacancy that had occurred. Because according to them, there was an appeal pending and that there was a stay process that was also pending, and so to their understanding everything should have been stayed until at least the state proceedings was heard. And so they didn't take they felt no, they would also allow government business to be conducted. We had serious businesses yesterday. We had a number of papers to be laid in view of the estimates from the budget that was presented, the sectorial estimates. And so they said they would not give a badge. We did everything. The speaker, and the one who was presiding at the time was the first deputy speaker. He did everything he could. That was Bernard Anyafo. He did everything he could, and it was not working. So he had to suspend sitting for some time, and then later we had speaker himself coming in. Still, it was the same thing. And even degenerated. Speaker also had to suspend sitting. But government business also had to be conducted because remember, budget approval also goes with timelines. And the Parliament also has a session. We needed to finish it within a specified timeline. And so it became very nasty, really, really nasty, because at some point they had to even move. They moved from their seats. And and usually
they came towards your side.
Yeah,
of the
they
aisle.
came to the middle, and then they went all the way to the maze. And the maze is the authority of Parliament. In fact, anything you can do anything in Parliament, but you don't get closer to the maze, because that is the symbol of authority of Parliament. Once the maze is taken away, then there's no Parliament. And so, if you realize, at some point, the marshal had to position themselves. There were two of them positioned just by the maze, because the maze symbolizes a lot. But the whole thing degenerated, but thank God, you see, even in the midst of all that, government business was carried out.
Yes. So why was that decision made then? That irrespective of the chaos that the minority was undertaking or perpetrating, you still went ahead. I saw the majority leader also.
You see, we didn't want to give blessing to that action.
The posture.
Yes. You see, we have rules that govern our procedure. And if you are aggrieved by anything, there are ways to come by it. One was the statement you asked for leave to make, which was granted you. So you made that statement. And see, if you make a statement like that, the other side must be given the chance to respond. Now you make the statement, and you are saying that you will not sit down and allow the majority side to respond. Then where lies the democracy we practice here? In fact, even in court, you say you are in court. You are in court because you want to be heard. You understand? If you want to be heard, then that right you have to be heard, you should also understand that the other party equally has the right to be heard. And so you get up and make a statement, and you are saying that the other side should not be allowed to make a statement. So that was where the problem came. And so Speaker had no choice, because Speaker had to go by the rules. Speaker cannot also jettison the rules simply because you are saying that should not be done. Otherwise, tomorrow, anybody can get up and circumvent or subvert the rules of Parliament by just being chaotic. And so, in the midst of the chaos, we still found ways to do business. In fact, the first thing that was done was to allow the majority leader to respond to what had been, the statement that had been made by the minority chief whip. And then after he made that, then we zoomed straight into the business. And that was when it became chaotic. In fact, the main objective of yesterday, their action, was just to frustrate government business, and that they will want to make their case, but the other side should not be allowed to make any case of theirs. And that, as far as they are concerned, no government business will be conducted. And we still had to find a way to do it. And in the end, Roland, we were able to execute whatever agenda. In fact, we even did it in a faster way than we would have normally done it. You know, usually when those papers are laid, their comments are allowed. It generates some debates. So every sector, for instance, Trade Ministry will have to lay its estimates, the report from the committee, and then members are allowed to debate, bring out all the issues. You see, Ghanaians were deprived of this opportunity, because so as we speak, yesterday, in fact, Trade Ministry was dealt with, tourism was dealt with, communication was dealt with, youth and sport.
So you were able to virtually
we did all those things, and the Ghanaian public were deprived of the opportunity to know what was contained in these estimates. And see, so but for their actions, Ghanaians would have known what is it in the budget of the Ministry for Trade that they should be aware of. You understand? And that is, they will point out, once a party brings a budget, a government brings a budget to Parliament, it is the other side that can bring out the ills in the budget. You understand? And let the public know about it. But the moment you take to chaos, the more you take to this kind of behavior, you don't only deprive yourself from criticizing the budget, but you deprive the entirety of Ghanaians. You betray the trust Ghanaians have in you by making you the opposition, to see to it that you point out the ills in this budget. And so yesterday, we had most of these estimates went through successfully without the public getting to hear about it. And we would have been deprived of some of the issues that would have come out of it. You understand? And so in the end, I don't think they did not achieve the objective they set for themselves. They only ended up making our parliament look even bad in the eye of the public. In fact, we look at this. We almost, blows were almost being exchanged. This is not a scene we want the public out there to see. International community is watching. This is a critical moment, a moment we are debating the budget. And so all eyes are on Parliament. This is the least we can give to the public, And it was sad. It was very unfortunate.
Abdul Fattah Al-Hassan, he's a member of parliament for Yende with the first word. And Dr. Zaato, you experienced that. Your colleagues in the House, they were in black. You are in white, though. But that aside, do you think that that should be the posture of the minority in relation to the subject matter of any protest at all regarding the decision by the courts that there has to be a rerun for the Pandai seat?
First of all, they are not my colleagues. I'm not an MP.
Okay.
So they are not my colleagues.
All right.
I don't know them. Secondly, I'm surprised people are just looking at this without looking at how we got here. It was violence that brought us to this violence. Violence begets...
You're saying we're being myopic?
I'm saying violence begets violence. It was violence that created the Pandai problem.
What violence? What do you mean by that? Please posit your argument. What do you mean by violence got us here?
Violence begets violence. We are talking, this Pandai issue arose as a result of what? Violence. When they were doing the coalition in Pandai, it was the NDC, I have the video we can play it, who sent pickups with their people to go and disrupt that counting with violence.
You mean your video?
Yeah, there are videos out there of the NDC going in pickups to disrupt the counting. It was that violence.
And the NPP videos, do you have them?
No, you have them. Maybe you can also.
No, I don't have any of the videos.
No, I'm telling you, I've seen videos. I've seen videos of people in NDC pickups who have gone there to vandalize it. I've seen it.
Okay.
It's on social media.
But I'm asking, do you have the NPP side?
I've told you what I have. If you also have the NPP ones, you can also talk about it. I'm only telling you what I have.
I don't have any videos.
So good. So I'm telling you what I have. You're asking me what you have other one to know. I'm just telling you this is what I have.
Okay.
What I have or what I've seen is people in NDC pickups who went to the center, disrupted the voting through violence. One, it was the violence that necessitated the transfer, the EC to take those boxes to Tamale to count. And it was that action that led to the law, the suit at the court, and it was that suit that nullified the voting. So it started with violence. So I'm surprised that people are being hypocritical. No, we didn't come here. No, it's violence. It was the violence of the people that led to what? The court case, and that brought us here. So one, you must understand that. I sat here last week and I said that if Pandai stands, we are glorifying violence, electoral violence. If Pandai stands, people will begin to game systems. And I've said it's very simple. Look, he's a member of parliament. He can tell you by the time, if you give literally 1 hour, 2 hours after the voting, he knows whether he was winning or not. Even before you go to the coalition center. Because these days, everybody is collating their centers from the polling stations. So by the time they bring all of them there, you know your stand even before you go to the coalition center.
I don't understand.
What I'm saying is that if you have 10 polling stations
I'm asking you this question because we've had seats that were in contention.
I know.
And then they were reversed. Because they are pink sheets that people could not verify. They were even just soft copies, etc. And we've seen them. That's the reason why we had pockets of incidents, of course, violence, that characterized the last election. And that's why those incidents were recorded.
Good. So, again, by the time we are going to the coalition centers, almost every candidate knows your standing. So that is why the incidence of ballot box snatching has reduced drastically, whilst we are now seeing a new rise in the storming of our coalition centers. The storming of coalition centers seems to be because that is where people now think that let's prevent the coalition. Now, my point is that if Pandai stands, and it says that it is going to incentivize what the storming of coalition centers going forward. If Pandai stands, violence is going to be used because all you need to know is, okay, I'm losing this election, so let me storm the polling station and see whether I can stop the election. And then give me the system. If Pandai stands, people are going to use it to game the system. People are going to use it as a test case of how to what.
How are they going to use it to game the system?
I've explained. They will simply know, losing candidates will just know, okay, if I'm able to disrupt the coalition and make sure that materials are destroyed, then it may go to what? An election. If it goes to an election 50-50.
You mean a rerun? A
rerun. If it's going to be 50-50. Now, that's what I'm saying, that we have to make sure that Pandai doesn't become the standard for that. Even if both political parties have used it, if the NPP has used it in the past, if the NDC has used it in the past, it's about time we begin to say, no, we should not make violence win. If Pandai stands, violence has win. If Pandai stands, hooliganism has win. If Pandai stands, party vigilantism has won. We should stop that so that we are able to have a system, the will of the people done. Secondly, I believe that Parliament should have or could have handled this things way better. Because the minority in Parliament seems to be of the view that there is a rush or there's a hurry to declare the seat and declare a re-election. The majority seems to think that they are only just doing or implementing the law. I think there's a middle ground somewhere. And some of these middle grounds are not things that you have to discuss on the floor of Parliament or even the Parliament. Parliament sits, is it in the evening or in the afternoons?
From the afternoon.
In the afternoons. So the whole period from the morning to afternoon provided an avenue, should have provided an avenue for cooler heads to emerge, for cooler heads to state and say, look, what are we going to do about this? Because see, with the moment you should have known, or you ought to have known that the moment the clerk sends a letter, there were going to be reactions. You ought to know, should have known that the moment the clerk sends a letter saying that you are declaring this, and especially...
But the clerk has been communicated to. And within the standing orders of Parliament, if Parliament is notified through the office of the Speaker, the Speaker has the discretion to act based on that standing.
I'm not questioning that. I'm only saying that...
But you are saying that the action that has been taken is creating a problem.
What I'm saying is that you ought to have known that the moment you send that letter, it was going to create some problems. You ought to have anticipated it. Anticipating means that then you could have then used methods, processes. Before even the House convenes, leadership could have started meeting with the clerk, meeting with the Speaker to try to find amicable solution before you go to the floor. This is a failure of leadership in both sides of the House. The fact that you carried this issue to the floor, now on the floor, it was not only law, it was also emotions, and that is why we saw the chaos. This chaos could have been prevented if the leadership had done a good job of mediating, of talking, and of having these things done. I am beginning to understand that and try to see that, look, this Parliament is not going to go smooth as possible. Even when we had 50-50 House, it went a little bit smooth. And even when we had a majority, it's going to be smoother. Ghanaians now have an opportunity to ask themselves some very important questions. We've had parliaments where the governing party has had a majority, let me say a ruling majority, but not overwhelming majority. We criticize those parliaments. We said they were rubber stamps. God has been good to us. We've had a split parliament in the last parliament. Then we said, well, sometimes we said it's still government business. We said, and there are people who say that the split government did not inure to our benefit the way we want to be. Now we have another extreme parliament where we have over 2/3 with the government. At the end of the day, I think Ghanaians are going to ask themselves, which model better serves us? At the end of the day, governance is going to ask ourselves, how did we get here and which one of them? Because I believe that when you have too much power, and that power corrupts, and absolute power will always corrupt. And that's my belief that we ought to find a good balance to give a ruling government a majority in Parliament, a ruling majority in Parliament. But then we also have to find ourselves, how do we make sure that the opposition or the minority doesn't feel bullied, doesn't feel intimidated, doesn't feel harassed? Because the current opposition, the current minority is making it very clear. Our numbers are small, but we shall not be bullied, we shall not be intimidated, we shall not be harassed.
Okay, so your numbers are small. Does it then make you draw the conclusion that it's the fault of the majority? And so because you have smaller numbers, you feel small, and so you feel you're being bullied? Is that the impression you get?
Which numbers? I'm just telling you something, and I don't have numbers. Again,
no,
I'm just
narrating from the point of the minority that they feel bullied.
No, I'm not. I'm not narrating from the point of minority. I'm just making the general analysis.
Yes.
My general analysis is that.
I'm not saying you're in the minority.
I'm not saying you said I am. I'm just telling you that. You asked me a question, I'm just explaining. My explaining is that I'm explaining from my experience. I'm saying, look, we've had now 3 types of government, of parliaments. One where the ruling has a governing majority in the House, big enough to do their things without them listening. Once where there's a split, we've had that one too, and now we have another extreme one where you can say we don't even the majority doesn't even need a minority. At the end of the day, the Ghanaian people who are the ultimate custodian of this country are going to ask themselves, which of these types of parliaments gave us value for our money? Which type of these parliaments did it better for us? And then they are going to decide in the next election and subsequent elections. That's the general argument I'm making. Because I'm saying that if they are a minority, any minority anywhere in the world feels that they are being harassed, intimidated, they are going to fight back. And then this scene we have seen, if we don't find a way to make things work, this is not going to be the last time we're going to see this thing. So Ghanaians should cheer up. Ghanaians should get ready for more scenes like this, because the minority is going to always want to.
So there should be chaos because they are small numbers.
I didn't say that.
Okay. What's your own analysis of it so far? The supposition that there was violence, and so it's begetting the violence that we're seeing there, and the violence has not been instigated by the majority side, really clearly. The minority side came to the House to deal with a subject matter because a decision has been taken due to a communication that the Speaker has received. And the Speaker is thinking, I'm backed by law, and so rightly, I'm taking that decision.
Roland, there is no violence begetting any violence anywhere.
You sure?
It is a figment of the imagination of the opposition New Patriotic Party. And here, let's distinguish between a responsible opposition and a irresponsible opposition. Remember, the United Party is also in opposition, and that is why I always want us to, that they will box all of us together and think that we agree with what they are doing, when in fact they are just being destructive. They are just trying to draw back the forward march of this country. Roland, my difficulty this morning is with the Daily Graphic, how they gave this despicable act prominence on their front page. Pandai see creates chaos in Parliament when there is an important story. See how they captured it in a small corner. Ghana loses $3 billion annually to corruption.
Why is that?
Give this story a small position or small font, and give this village life attitude in Parliament this big headline. I have scanned through the standing orders of Parliament. Parliamentarians only need two documents: the Constitution and the standing orders. Scanning through from page 1 to the last page, there is nowhere that the actions of these so-called minority are approved or is approved. So what rule, based on what rule or standing order or constitutional provision did they do what they did? But you see, I don't blame them. I don't blame these parliamentarians. But I blame two set of people in this country for what they did.
Who are the people?
I blame the voters who killed at dawn, and in spite of the fact that Article 42 says that the Electoral Commission must register people with sound mind.
Oh.
And this is what the Constitution is saying. Article 42. You have your Constitution, go there, let's see.
Every citizen of Ghana of 18 years
Yes.
of age or above and of sound mind
Yes.
has the right to vote and is entitled to be registered as a voter for the purpose of public elections and referenda. What has that got to do?
Yeah, so first of all, those that are supposed to go and vote must have sound mind. And go to Article 93(2). And I always come here and emphasize on sound mind. Sound mind, you don't understand me. Article 93(2).
There shall be a parliament of Ghana which shall consist of not less than...
No, go to 94, 94(2), 94(2), please, 94.
94(2).
Yes.
Okay. Subject to the provisions of this article, a person shall not be qualified to be a member of parliament
If he, A and B, read the B for me.
94(2).
Yes, 94(2)B.
If he has been adjudged or otherwise declared bankrupt under any law in force in Ghana,
And the second one,
to be of sound
to be of what?
mind,
On sound. You cannot
to
be,
be of an unsound mind.
if you cannot be in Parliament if you have unsound mind. Did I write the Constitution for this country?
No, what do you mean? What's the correlation between the chaos in Parliament and then your argument?
To be of sound mind means you must cooperate, behave within the confines of the standing orders of Parliament.
Oh, Solo.
And the Constitution. So anything you do outside the standing orders of Parliament makes you behave as someone of unsound mind. And the Constitution says that that person must not be in Parliament. So what TV3 is supposed to do is to project the list, all the faces of the minority MPs that took part in this despicable act, and so that Ghanaians in the next election will do us the greatest honor by voting all of them out because they know it's a despicable act. You saw them putting on face masks. Has Ghana not been declared COVID-free? When last did they go to parliament and they were wearing face masks?
Oh, Solo.
They decided to wear it because they themselves know. And my difficulty is that the few hot-headed ones have been able to push the reasonable ones to also join the fray. And what even annoys me and saddens my heart is that the women have also joined. I saw the women banging. The women from the minority banging. Some of them are known to be very respectable.
No, but Solomon, if you're in parliament, all parliaments over the world, there are means.
There is no parliament. Look, we have serious matters.
There are
this
means
morning,
of protests. And so,
what protest is this? That you want to disrupt the consideration of estimates. Remember what they were doing yesterday. What were you doing yesterday? Yeah. Were you not considering estimates of various ministries and agencies? You have just interviewed unemployed graduate nurses this morning. These nurses need these estimates to be approved so that the economy will be expanded for them to be absorbed. Then you have parliamentarians who are supposed to make sure that these works go there and say that they are disrupting it. I've listened to a number of them. What they have told me is that, or what they have said to the entire world is that because they did not have the numbers, they will only disrupt parliamentary business. Now, let me tell you something. This situation we find ourselves, this is not the first time the country is getting such a huge disparity between majority and minority. In 1996, the NPP, they had 67 seats. The NPP had 133 seats in parliament. It's not the same. It's like half of it. But what did the NPP then do? Because the quality was so high, they gave compelling arguments in parliament.
You mean JH
They gave compelling arguments that when they stood on the floor of parliament and spoke, the entire country came to a standstill.
Yeah, I'm saying Solomon just called minority MPs of unsound minds.
No, but that's the constitution. That's what I'm saying.
Just called them all minority MPs of unsound minds.
Why
on October 23rd, 2024.
Have you not had your chance?
Have you not? Did you call them unsound minds?
Why are you trying?
I'm saying that
why are you trying?
No. And call minority MPs people with unsound minds.
No.
I mean,
we should have doing that.
Okay.
I took you. I walked you through the constitution.
Mr. Solomon, the argument Dr. Zaato is making is that the allusions you make, you start from the quotation as well as the provisions that.
It's the provisions in the constitution.
Article 42. You start from.
No, you are wrong to say that they don't have sound mind.
I don't know when they appointed as the Minister of Rights for him to tell them that I am wrong. How did you allow?
You have absolute no evidence to say that they are sound minds.
Okay.
If you don't like their tactics, you can say you don't like their tactics. Okay. If you don't like their tactics, don't like that. But to then insinuate or suggest that they are sound minds, it's unfair. It's not something we should be saying on national TV. We shouldn't be saying that.
I came here and I'm repeating it. The Constitution and
because you start from 42 and then you go to
the Constitution itself says that the Electoral Commission must register people of sound mind. Did I write that? Now I come to 94 to BII. That nobody must enter the chamber of parliament unless you have sound mind. Did I write it?
No, I'm saying that.
Now, why? What is the point?
There is evidence of NDC MPs who did worse things. Nobody called them on sound mind. So please, don't call people on sound mind because you don't like their tactics. Don't call people on sound mind because you don't like their approach. Our public discourse can be civil and respectful.
Tell them to remove it from the constitution.
You've made your
this
point.
business of trying to always play the victim.
I'm not playing a victim. I'm simply saying let's elevate our public discourse.
No, it's one of the strategies. You want to come and curtail my thoughts, but I will be focused and deliver on what I'm supposed to do.
Okay.
So the first group of people,
Dr. Zaato, you've made your point.
But you have to do debit and credit. You have to give the time that you're taking from me, and then make sure that I finish my point.
If you debit, you credit.
So what I'm saying is that it is so clear.
It says that allusion should not be part of a national discourse.
That don't sound mind.
You should retract it.
I should remove it from the constitution. Is that what you're telling me? The constitution has written on sound mind. Did I write it? You read it for me. We are doing analysis. The constitution enjoins every Ghanaian to vote for someone who is of sound mind to go to parliament and represent us. And I'm saying that when you go to parliament, they have two set of documents.
So I asked the question that the means that they undertook yesterday is part of protest.
No, which part of the standing orders?
It's not there.
So
which has been exhibited by some parliament.
So in the past, if it took place, also for some people that didn't have sound mind, because you see, we are in an era where you just interviewed 2 unemployed graduate nurses. The lady Sandra Frimpong was crying on set. After the show, I met her here. She continues to cry. Why? She has finished school. Now we put people in parliament to go and better the lives of these people. They go and do otherwise, something that is not contained in the standing orders, and you come and sit here and tell me that we must be civil. You see, this civility, when you don't say it as it is, then people want to deal with that. Now, the first set of people that I'm blaming this morning is the voters that voted for these people. The second set of people, or the second person I'm blaming is Speaker Babin. You remember on the 31st of January 2025, this year, we were in this studio when we discussed that matter of destruction of microphones and tables and chairs by these same parliamentarians. So when I'm discussing something, you come and sit here that, you have to say, well, when those days, they have not invited the wife.
Continue, please.
You have BPO if you don't take care. You were here when I said that if the Speaker of Parliament does not punish that act, it will lead to more things happening. You thought I was joking. What have you experienced? When the Speaker of Parliament promised the entire country that he was going to make sure that parliamentarians that took part in that act, their salaries were going to be deducted to pay for the microphones and chairs, have you heard anything about it? So it has emboldened them to continue to do what they did yesterday. In fact, yesterday, all that they were pushing for was to repeat what happened on the 31st of January. In fact, I saw some of the MPs throwing papers around. So if they have been given the opportunity,
you mean this incident?
Exactly. What happened to
so the Speaker's failure to take action?
That is what has led to the second one. Yesterday's one. And when you see such an act, look, someone who has been voted for MP, look at that.
Roland, I beg you. There's
Look at that.
Video on October
and you call this out, man?
2024.
What are you talking about?
Can you put it up?
Dr. Zaato, stop being disruptive.
Seriously. Disrupted the whole day. This morning, what is that?
Stop being disruptive. Let's give each opportunity that is.
Well, you have taken about 6 minutes of my time.
Okay, you go.
Now back to the issue.
You have 3 minutes left.
Oh, my brother, why are you trying to show you are MPP with him? You'll be MPP with him. The United Party remains focused. We want to shape the destiny of this country. Now, back to the issue. Why is the NPP afraid to go for the rerun? That is where the matter is. As you speak.
You think they are afraid to go?
No, they are afraid. They have given
Martin Yinda had in excess 3,000 votes. He has no fear to enter into another election to make sure that he recaptures his seat.
I have watched.
At least that's what he's been communicating.
I have watched his interviews after his removal from Parliament, Martin Yinda, and he has given up. Now he's referring to the fact that he's from Kumdi, a poor farming community in the Pandai area, and that he had not been in Parliament, it was by grace, and that whatever happens, life goes on. He has already given up. He has given up because if indeed he won that election, I have no reason to say that he didn't win. But if I were him and I won by that margin, 3,700 votes, and you know that with MP elections, a simple win, you can get one and win. We have had Titus Glover win with even 3. Is that not the case? So if you led by 3,700, just go and fight. You can even win by a single vote and you'll be the MP. Yet you are running away, hiding behind the MPs in Parliament who are also not doing a divide. They don't wish Yinam well. They are only making noise so that Yinam will know that, oh, when he came, they fought. They are not fighting. As they claim they are fighting, you Yinam, you are out. I have advised him that he should not invest any money. The small money that is left with him, he must save it. Because I am fully aware that the people in Pandai think otherwise. But I wait for the election outcome. So let them go back and take part in this. But the problem is that the party is not united. The NPP is not united. So who is going to lead the campaign? They claim that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has said that any election in the northern regions, he would deliver the vote to the NPP. So the Brian faction, the Kennedy faction, the Dutu faction, the Kwabena Japan faction are saying that you that have promised the party that any election you would deliver the Northern votes, the Muslim vote. This time, this is a test case. If you say you are macho, go and break the eco. There used to be an advert like that. Say if you claim you are macho, break the eco. go and break the echo in Pandai and deliver the non votes. That is where the challenge is. But what has destroyed matters is what recently the former President John Kufuor said. He has told the entire country that indeed some of the decisions, the majority of the decisions of the Nana Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration was so worse off.
Oh, he only said that PDS and someone he didn't treat them well.
DDP, banking sector cleaner. As for the cathedral, I didn't even want to hear. So how can you take such a decision? So this is what the people of Pandai have listened to. Former President Kufuor has rather done the campaign for those that are going to contest. So how do you expect Nyinam to win? No. Having the benefit of the doubt that somebody used our money to go and dig a hole, which has been echoed by President Kufuor, how do you expect the voters in Pandai to go and vote for Nyinam? So the party itself, through its leadership, founding fathers, people of stature have done the campaign for the other side. The only lack the NDC has is that the United Party is going to take part in this election. We would have won in handsomely and Ghana would have been saved.
Solomon, are you sure about that?
Roland.
So where do you move on from here as members of parliament?
Roland, can I respond to one or two issues from Doc's submission?
I don't want any matter.
Yeah, I destroyed the program this morning.
No.
He started by attacking us that we were being violent at the elections, and that's what has brought us all to this place. You see, it is not for nothing that we have court sitting on some of these issues.
And you are a lawyer, so
yes, I am a lawyer. A court sat on this matter. One of the issues that came up in court was the fact that the EC, the returning officer, claimed that NDC was the party that caused the violence at the elections. And you see, in court, fortunately, it's not like sitting here or just being outside. When you make your allegations, you are not allowed to run with that allegation. You have to substantiate it. So he was asked to establish that claim. He claimed he had a video, and I won't be surprised if it's the same video Doc is referring to here. He claimed he had a video. He was allowed to play the video in court. That video portrayed a situation different from what he narrated. And so it went nowhere. It did not substantiate what the claim he made. And so if Doc is here claiming that he has a video, Doc, go and look at that video again. That video, when it was played, was rather revealing a situation where he was declaring or announcing that or declaring that the election could not be had, or the coalition could not be had at that place. But he couldn't substantiate by that video that the violence there was caused by NDC. Now, you took a decision there and then. You took it in violation of the rules. When you look at CI 127, it gives you prescription as to what to do when you have a situation at hand where you can no longer continue with coalition at the designated polling station. Yes, you can move it to a center, but that movement should be communicated to parties. You took the decision to move it to Tamale, to the regional coalition center, without informing the candidate, the NDC candidate. You took it there with the NPP candidate. Now you are there claiming that when you went to Tamale, there was the regional secretary of NDC in Tamale. Regional coalition center is meant for different constituencies. When you get to regional coalition center, we have 18 constituencies in the northern region. So when you go to the northern regional coalition center, you are likely to have 18 issues being addressed, constituency issues being addressed. So if the regional secretary of NDC is at that place, he is there not purposely for Pandai, but he's there to attend to other issues. And the coalition, he's not the representative of the candidate. The regulations say that you notify the candidate or his representative. You went there and you didn't notify the candidate, neither did you notify the representative. And then you are now claiming that when you were there and you were doing the coalition at the regional level, yeah, even though you have not been able to substantiate the fact that you notified the candidate or his representative, but the regional secretary of NDC was there. Was he there as a rep of the candidate? No.
Yes, but the argument that the NPP puts up, and even to the day of the judgment in itself, the final day in itself, is that there were a mass up of some individual. For example, the regional minister was there alongside.
At where? On the judgment day. But what is wrong with that? It's very normal. Days of judgment are days that sometimes you go with your family, because given the work you have done, given the evidence you have laid in court, you are sure of victory, and so you go hoping to have victory and to celebrate the victory. And what more can you get during victory celebration than to have a gathering of people? And so yes, they all went there, but they went there in anticipation of victory. And victory was what they got. So that does not take anything away. So, Doc, it is wrong to sit here and say that it was NDC that caused the violence. Violence, we should all do away with violence in our elections, and we should all condemn acts of violence. But if you say violence begets violence, then you are justifying what happened yesterday in Parliament.
So, so what would then be done by the Speaker in order to bring maybe perpetrators to book, or those members who were instigating
a lot of tools to use, even per the standing orders. He can walk you out. You see, sometimes the Speaker is being too lenient because he's one person who accommodates dissenting views. And so sometimes he overdoes it. That is what I think. But I think that time has come for him to, if you like, crack the whip. Because it was clear. In fact, no one can tell me that we cannot tell the people who were behind this violence. They were there. Cabarets have shown them. They were there in full glare of the Speaker. The Speaker could have easily asked the marshal to walk them out and for proceedings to continue. But they say he's one person who wants to be very accommodating because he knows that that is the only way we build democracy. But to me, if you want to be accommodating, if you want to give opportunity to people and the people are abusing that privilege, then it's about time you also crack the whip and let them know that you are there to safeguard the rules and the laws. Once someone's conduct is in clear violation and in breach of the laws and the regulations, you have every right to crack the whip. And I think the Speaker must today, if the same character is exhibited, go and then do what is necessary to bring discipline into the chamber.
Dr. Zaato, how do we all come to a consensus? And then you can add your grievances that you wanted to talk about.
I have no grievances. As I've said, again, we need to try to make our electoral process less violent. We need to find ways and means of, especially at coalition centers. My whole argument is that, again, the violence begets violence. If there was no violence in Pandai, look, there are other constituencies that declared their results at the coalition centers. They didn't move them to regional. Why was Pandai moved to a regional center? Why was Pandai moved? Pandai was not moved because people got bored. Pandai was not moved because there was no room to coalition. No, Pandai was moved because of violence. And I am saying that I have seen, if somebody else has, and you can share with us, I have seen trucks, pickups of NDC people rush to the center, cause the commotion, and that led to removing.
In the video,
and I've seen. And I've also, again, I'm also saying that there is, this is not the first time elections have happened, let's say in the Broad North region, that has necessitated moving. I don't know the legal, this is whether you are supposed to tell them, or if you tell them and they say they won't come, what happens? I will leave that to court. But I'm saying that violence begets violence. How, going forward, the only way we can stop these things from happening is to make sure that our coalition centers are violence-free. The only way we can make sure this doesn't happen is make sure that we have impenetrable coalition centers. The only way we can prevent this happening is make sure that nobody who is not authorized to be at a coalition center goes there. If we do that, then we can make sure that this thing don't happen. Look, Panda has happened. If we don't take measures, it will become the norm. I don't want it to become the norm. Secondly, minorities in parliament have chosen how they want to protest, how they want to do their things. Over the years, we've seen a number of them. We've seen walkouts, we've seen boycotts, we've seen a lot of ways. They are all permissible and they are all the things they use. But we should not be personalizing it and be trying to insult the intelligence of people voted there just because we don't agree with how they choose to protest. This parliament, we've seen a lot. We've seen a lot. And I will not sit here, I will never sit here and try to use such unprintable words on honorable members of parliament. They are honorable men. Each one of them in their private lives, we've seen them. They are honorable men. He was a successful lawyer before he came to parliament. Just because he's there doesn't mean that doesn't give me the opportunity to try to now call him another name. No. We've seen it and we've seen it. Let's try to make sure that we bring more decorum to our parliamentary proceedings. Let's try to make sure that if you are disagreeing with people, disagree with them, but do not call into question their intelligence.
Okay.
So it's very simple.
What do you think the speaker needs to do? What responsibility or the onerous responsibility that is on the speaker, so to speak?
I mean, the speaker has not given me any confidence that he can act. If he's able to go back to the 31st January incident and deal with it comprehensively, then he would reinstate some levels of confidence with me that he can do the job. Now, coming back to the issue, you cannot be playing to the emotions of the people. It is as it is. We queue the parliamentarians, and I have said that it's a matter that we want to go to the Supreme Court and seek clarity. With the judges must pronounce on it. That you come to me in the constituency to come and solicit for my vote, that you are going to represent me. You go to Parliament and you say that my view as a constituent, as a voter in your constituency does not matter, but rather the party that you belong to view is what matters. This decision by these MPs to disrupt, and mind you, if you decide, if they had walked out, why would I care if they walked out? Because there was business going on there. This time around, they said they were not working out, but they were going to be in the chamber and disrupt proceedings. Now, I that voted for you to go and represent me. Did you seek my consent? Do they have the consent of their voters in the various constituencies that they must go and disrupt parliamentary proceedings? Have they even had the courtesy to get back to us that these are the issues? To know the appetite of their constituents, whether or not can that issue that they are right or wrong. When you do that, you are rather serving your selfish parochial interest. And I am going to go to Supreme Court. I've asked Lawyer Pierre Dankwa to prepare all and he's doing a fantastic job there to seek an interpretation whether or not when parliamentarians are in parliament, they represent their political parties or they represent their constituents. Because what is playing out is that they are rather representing the interest of their parties.
And not their constituents.
And not their constituents. And if it is their parties, then they must stop all of us from voting. Because if you are going to go on party line, in my constituency, I did not vote for the NPP candidate. You understand? And the mere fact that the NPP candidate did not win and now is an NDC candidate over there who has won, does not mean he is also representing the NDC. He is representing the entire constituency. So that is why they are supposed to get back to us, seek our opinions of matters, then they will go and say it or represent us in that direction. And if you behave outside what is permissible, and the constitution said that when you do that, then you are not of sound mind, and that such a person must not be in parliament. You must not be dilly-dally and telling us because you want to play to impose that.
You don't want to placate anybody.
What are we going to placate? We are very serious here. Millions of youth are unemployed out there. It's some of these behaviors that has led this country to this direction. We are a developing country. We don't have time.
Honorable men in.
So we are dishonorable. We that gave them the power. We gave them the power. Can you imagine? We that gave them the power are dishonorable. They are honorable. And if you are honorable, these are the spectacle you are showing to your children. Can your producer produce or play back what happened on the 31st of January? And play this one and think that the only way Parliament could grab front page is when they are chaotic? And you want to tell me that we must be entertaining some of this things? Why must you entertain that? It's part of parliamentary procedure. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. If you want to go and match, go to alma mater and match. Look at this. Bro, this is what we are being shown daily.
All right. Let's move on. We want to talk about the NPP presidential primaries. Musa Dankwa is the executive director for Global Info Analytics. Good morning to you. Unmute.
Good morning to you.
Okay.
Hello, good morning.
What are you finding out so far on the ground? We know the campaign messages, etc., and then also we know the leading individuals who are part of this, the actions they are taking on the ground so far. How does it look like?
Look, there are two angles to what the race is looking like at the moment. From the perspective of delegates and from the perspective of ordinary MPP sympathizers on the street across the country. Now, let's start with the favorability rating for these candidates as far as the delegates are concerned, which is a very important matrix people have to pay attention to, because it gives you a sense of measurement as to how they see these candidates and their campaign messages. If you have your rating improving, it is good for you. It signals that your messaging is going down well with the people. But if you find your ratings dropping, it means something might not be going right with your messaging as you go around. So you must reassess what you've been saying on the campaign trail. Now, for the race, Dr. Mahmoud Baumi has seen a slight improvement in his favorability rating compared to a month ago, from 91 to 92%, up 1%. Brian Achampon has seen a slight decline as well, from 83% overall to 81%, down 2%. While Edichum remains flat on 77% between the two periods, nothing changes. However, Kennedy is rather down from 88% to 83%, down 5%. While Kobna Aje Japan 2 is down from 76 to 74%, down 2%. This is an indication of what might be happening with regard to their campaign messaging. So what they have to do is look at the period of the poll and see what happened in these periods. What did we say in these periods? What kind of message did we carry across around that period that may have caused this negative decline? This is absolutely important if you are to stay on course. Now, as a result of that, if you look at delegate view, Baumia declined slightly from 44% to 43% compared to the last period, down 1%. Kennedy Japan, on the other hand, also went down from 19% to 18%, down 1%. Brian Achampon remained at 5% between the periods, so no change for him. Kedichum down 1% to now 0. Ajay Japan from 1% to down 0, down 1%. But those who don't disclose their voting intention have remained unchanged, 15% apiece. But those who are saying they are undecided, they have moved from 15% to 19%. The increase came from those who were leaving Baumia support, leaving Kennedy support, leaving Edichum, and leaving Kopnadi Japan. 4% of them went to undecided. It means that neither really gained on each other. They lost their numbers to undecided. However, when you come to the ordinary people on the social media that we just tested last week, there you can see a marked difference in the sense that Baumia, who was on 5-6% last time, has jumped to 75%. And Kennedy, on the other hand, who was on 40%, has declined to 18%. Okay. Yeah, Edichum was on 3%, now on 1%. Brian Champon, who was on 1%, now 5%. And Kobne Aje Japan, who was on 0, now 1%. So we are seeing a shift dramatically in the public or the populist view of MPP voters towards Baumia. We don't know whether this will be sustained or just a blip. Okay.
Now, so how do they stand then? Because you're saying Baumia is leading the polls, but in terms of the numbers you're picking up, how do they stand, or the gains, so to speak? So, for example, I want to see each of them who is leading in the polls, over 100.
Over 100, I mean, Baumia is leading with 43%. Okay. Among the delegates. Okay. But among the ordinary voters, he's on 75%.
Okay.
Among the delegates, Ken is doing 18%, and now the same 18% on the ordinary MPP voters on social media. So you have seen there is a parity between the delegates now and then the general public on social media.
So if we should go for a conference today, let's say the MPP should go for a conference to elect their presidential candidates, that will be the end of January. That's the projected date so far. You are saying the delegates will give 40% plus to Dr. Mahmoud Baumia?
He is guaranteed 43%. But those who are undecided, who are now 19%, and those who are saying they will not disclose, they would break out in a way that would deliver Baumia a first round win.
Okay. Okay. And first round,
because it is so much close to 50% than any of the candidates.
I see. All right. When are you going to conduct your next round of poll? Because we're just a month difference to the main election. So
the next delegate polls will start next week, and the report is expected on the 24th of December. And then the final one will also come before 24th of January, 2026.
All right. My last question is based on the messaging. It's very critical. You have enumerated several times, tallying with what the averages are for our demographics based on what we have from the Electoral Commission in the voters register, and then also from the Statistical Service. We have a young voter population. It's not the same reflection in the delegate list of the NPP. Now, the messaging, just this week or the last week, there was Natoshi with Kusasi and all those things. On the other side also, we tend to hear them as a refrain also. How is that syncing with the voters within the delegates list and then also the ordinary voters in the public space and social media? The messaging.
Let's start with the delegates. Now, a month ago, when we did the polls, about 13% of the delegates were saying that their choices will be influenced by religion and ethnicity. 13%. This time around, that number has declined to 4%. And this was the period in which we saw the ethnic issues and all the other issues that we don't want to see in our politics on the campaign trail. This is a strong message and signal that those tangents of messaging doesn't work. It may have impact on the actual elections. Using them on the campaign trail could derail your campaign. And I'm not surprised that we saw a decline in Ken's favorability rating by 5%. That could be a reflection of people's revulsion of that tangent. And I think they should take it very kindly and fairly and adjust.
Okay.
When it comes to the general voters, it's no different. In fact, it's going to be worse because the Gen Z voters really are not into this kind of religious and ethnic politics. Yes, the older generation still have all that kind of feeling and thinking, but the Gen Zs are not for it. And if you continue on this tangent, it will not end well.
Okay. Thank you very much. Because you're speaking purely based on data. Musa Dankwa is Executive Director for Global Info Analytics. Just go to Global Info Analytics on social media, or Musa Dankwa himself. You find a lot of his writings. He's always fighting people. AKA Lotto Forecaster. Alaji, thank you so much, sir. Many people don't know that he's a mathematics and statistics person. I mean, very much instrumental with Margins Group when they put together the database for our national identification system. So many people don't know. So, but thank you very much for the update. If you take what the mood is and then also the strategy for the DMB campaign, you compare it to the others as well, are these numbers reflective based on what they pick on the ground?
Thank you very much. I've always said that people like Musa Dankwa, we should thank them because our body politics will benefit from research, from data. When we are talking to research and data, then we are able to put the issues in better perspectives. So I always thank him. That doesn't mean that I agree with everything. In fact, I've actually told him we've had a background discussion that in January I will invite him to come and give a lecture to my classes, Introduction to Political Research. So he's agreed. Yeah, he has agreed. So Musa Dankwa will still come to that. Yeah. But again, so let's try to look at the data. He released some data earlier this December. And you see, there's something sometimes conflicting or a little bit confusion about his data. Later this month, he issued data that says that His Excellency Dr. Bawumia has 63% from committed delegates. That is delegates. Now, he defined committed delegates as people who have mentioned the candidate by name and have said that they will vote for him. So this is what he said. Committed voters are delegates who have mentioned a candidate by name and committed to vote for that candidate. The model excludes undecided and those who won't openly declare. So if we just say that, so committed means I've mentioned your name.
Yes.
I'm calling 63%.
Precision.
Yes, 63% is. But again, they're saying that Bawumia has 43% of the dissent. And remember, this 63%, as he has defined it here, excludes undecided and so. And then the undecided and on this it's about 30%. So if the man has 63%, and then there are still about 30% undecided and undisclosed, that makes it what? About 90%. So it's not 7%. That means that the 7% is for. So it does. There's something I don't understand there, because I want to believe that if you are looking for, and the moment if it's a phone call and you call it a delegate, and the delegate says yes, I'll vote for A, then that and those are the commitment, then that should be the person standing. So those two, there's something missing about them, because committed delegates cannot be 63%, and then you say he's leading by 43%, and then there are still about 30% undecided. There's something missing there. So that's it. Okay. But again, seeing this statistics, like I said, I'm not surprised.
But you love his projection that DMB will win.
I'm saying that I'm not surprised by that. And first, say that DMB has 92% favorability ratings. In politics, and Apollo will tell you, for favorability ratings is cash. Presently, the president of the republic has about, based on him, 63 or 70% approval ratings. Approval ratings and approval ratings are similar. It's cash in politics. That's what you can use to do a lot of things. So it's cash. So one, I'm not surprised. This is only going to confirm what I know, that January 31st is going to be Coronation Day. January 31st is going to be a very big party for DMB and the DMF party. January 31st is going to be the day that he's going to win massively. And then he's going to start the journey to DMB becoming the president of the Republic of Ghana in 2029. And Ghana will be safe and prosperous under his leadership.
Okay. What do you make of it so far? The messaging part as well. You heard Natoshi with it. And I'm thinking that as a marketing communication person, you have to appeal to your base. Your base is more account based. So,
looking at the figures, pathetic. I believe that the best thing for the NPP is to withdraw election in 2028.
No.
Because if at this moment, Bawumia is leading by 43%. 43%.
Among delegates.
So if elections were held today, he will win by 43%.
No, but they're undecided.
The reason why they are
undisclosed and undecided.
that is even dangerous for Bawumia. Because if you want to vote for Bawumia, what prevents you from saying that I'll vote for Bawumia? What it means is that 57% of MPP's delegates do not support Bawumia currently. So how can anybody be happy that he is cruising to a familiar victory? In any case, the last time they held this primaries, that's in 2023, Bawumia had what? Only 61.74%. Now, 61.74% led him to 41.74 in national elections.
41.
When he had 61.74 in NPP's primaries, he got 41% in national election. Simple proportion. If 61.74 is to 41%, then 43% leads to 29%.
No, but this one is not an absolute, because we have undecided and undecided.
They are all decided. What he has given you is 43. What are you talking about again?
because people go to the voting booth and decide differently.
What they are saying is that 57% says no, Bawumia. But what freaks me is the movement of Adutum from 1% to 0%. Are they telling me that Adutum does not have supporters? The amount of meetings and the meat pies and the delegates. Kwabena Japan has been telling us that every trip he spends 30,000 Ghana. Hey, Kwabena, from 1% to 0. This one, I don't believe it.
Yeah, but to get 1%, we're talking about numbers.
He says 0. 0 is 0. There is no percentage. There is no figure you can put to 0.
Messaging.
The messaging has been very poor. None of them is giving us any hope. They are not tackling.
You haven't seen Kennedy Japan. He's been very demonstrative. He's been putting together his manufactured items from his plant, etc., and even some on the market to demonstrate that we need to create jobs, we need to create a value chain, manufacturing industry.
One of the you see, we must educate our voters very well. There is a difference between holding a public office, which is in the public interest, and doing a private business.
You are saying policy is not the same as being an
you see, when you are in position, every policy you bring must benefit the entire country. And it is one of the problems Mr. Alan Chamati had when he was campaigning during the NPP. You will hear a typical NPP voter or delegate say that ever since you came, you never dashed us money. You never dipped your hands into the coffers of the state and gave it to us. And for which reason, we are not voting for it. It means that those that they voted for have been dipping their hands in the national kitty and then be dashing to delegates. When, in fact, Mr. Alan Chamante's policies serves the entire Ghanaian population. What can I do in Japan is there's more of a private person. Allah would have made him a trade minister, because what you are saying is that you'll be a better trade minister. Oh yes, he would be a better.
You mean Bill Gates cannot be president of America?
They are all trade ministers. But you say
Marx cannot be.
You are creating jobs. You are a trade minister.
No, please.
Now, when you go to Bawumia, ask for him nil, zero. In fact, the only message I've heard from him is that he donated 300 brand new pickups.
Be fair.
Which are petitioned the office of the special prosecutor to investigate, which he has sat on it. He has sat on it. He's not doing anything about it.
Solomon, be fair.
Why did Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia get that money, that whooping sums of money? So that it feeds into what I was telling you, that people make monies in politics and just go and give it to delegates and influence their thinking. The only person that seemed to be coming close to some messaging from heart of heart has been Kwabena Ejapon.
You like his message?
The message is good,
down.
but he is so weak. The last time they voted for him as the general secretary, he allowed them to overthrow him. So if they give you a flag, why would they overthrow you again?
Oh, sorry.
So weak. So the five frontliners, they don't represent any hope.
You saw Natoshi in the video trying to appeal to the base.
Natoshi is trying to tell them that Mahmoud Bawumia is so weak. From where I sit, I am tempted to believe what Natoshi is saying. In the same vein, there are people from Bawumia's camp who also say that Natoshi is corrupt. I'm also tempted to believe. So how do I take them serious? The last I heard someone say Toshilat. They were showing me some tracks, and I know where those tracks are. If indeed Natoshi use state funds to go and buy it,
there's an allegation.
That's why I say if it's indeed.
By editorial policy, we're not allowed to do that.
By serious,
please.
What are you pleading for?
What's your projection? Who's going to win?
Oh, I have said it time with that number that Mahmoud Bawumia will rig this election and win. He will rig it.
How can he rig?
But the album is rigged. The album itself is rigged. I've told you. I've been a coordinator in NPP before. When you go to Okakwe South, more than half of those in the album are people sleeping at Kaneshi Market. They don't know them.
No, you cannot say that.
I am a court. Look, let them open the phone lines. Go to the court, the High Court of Ghana, Accra. The number of times I took the album to court because I wanted to cleanse it.
As a member of the NPP?
As a member of the my records are there. Okakwe said they know that I fought them. But when I was fighting, I wanted to do what was right for them. They didn't understand. I told them that the delegate system is the best that can happen to any political party. That when you have a strong polling station executives, your work is cut out. But they didn't see it that way. They thought by putting people that they could manipulate, it will help in their parliamentary and presidential. So that was why I was in court. So there is no hope in them. I am inviting them to follow United Party closely. It is a party that is going to redeem this country from its shackles. That is why we are there. Fortunately, 31st, it will end the invasion of NPP politics, and they will find their route back to the UP.
Look at Lawyer
Hassan. You want to join our party?
Hassan is watching you and saying, this man, what's he saying? But Hassan, just you are bystander, so a minute for you, 60 seconds.
Oh, I thought I also get like 5 minutes, 5 minutes.
No. 30 seconds, okay. Because that's for you, MPP primaries.
No, but I always describe it as a race to nowhere. You see, Ghanaians have become so awoken that they now see the reality of the two parties. In fact, there are instances that you have people, even within NPP, asking themselves that if things continue to go the way they are going today, then where will be the NPP in the next coming elections? Truly, what Ghanaians voted for, no Ghanaian can say they have regretted for what they voted for. In fact, we have had polls upon polls indicating that John Mahama's approval ratings are even soaring, even as president. Usually when a president...
But John Mahama will not be there in 2028.
But his performance is speaking. And you see, a party, once the government does well, trust me, it will lighten the load, the burden, for whoever takes over from John Mahama. And that is what we all pray for. Almost every sector of the economy is doing very well. Inflation is doing very well, to the extent that we are at 6.3. Look at interest rates, down to 18%.
Okay.
Almost everything is pointing to the right direction. And you see, Solomon pointed to one issue. When you have a situation where you have 34% of the delegates part being undecided, part being
Undisclosed,
that's dangerous. In fact, it is easy for delegates to disclose for or to declare for Bawumia because he is there. We say he was a candidate last time. To the extent that they are not hiding their position, it's very dangerous for Bawumia.
That's even more
And
dangerous.
if you add that number to Ken, who has 17.7%, that takes him over Bawumia. Because 34 plus 17%, that takes him far ahead of Bawumia.
I see.
And so there's danger for Bawumia. But
And you think that all of them en bloc will go and not...
As for me, whoever they elect as flag bearer, they should think of 2032 and not 2028.
No, we are winning 2020.
Musa Dankwa, Zaato is a bit... I want
very, very sad on our televisions, and we all saw it. You see it. We all witnessed what happened. MPP for say, NDC for so munya overwhelming majority in parliament. Now omuti change the constitution no. Na President John Mahama call for third term. But nipa yekura mo kan ho asemi. President Mahama aba montin so abeka kire Ghana for. So no on for third term nye hwe. Opeso protecting dignity. Opeso okofi as a former president obia bebo na baso anaso obia beka say oh obaye no be som Ghana oyeni ompese be wi achi no we ko change constitution no na wa ye na adwen say okofo another term be wi achi na Ghana fa nto ama no e ba say ye ninguase kese en e be say enyema wa ya ma Ghana papa wa ya ma Ghana in his political career na e be say no. Because imagine someone change the constitution and a coffee as a former president, Kama, and Kaubiano Niase. But the moment I change the constitution and not Ghana for being the say he is what greedy and what hypocrite, you know. And on a man for I will say no, we won't vote for you because you are greedy. You have to go and sit down for young generation to also come. It's me papa na ba montin so abeka say onko bi entimi. I am convinced said there is no way a President Mahama ebesi abeka say obeko for third term, not anybody, not even the chief of staff Julius Debra, and I see don't ketia and on be advising say onko, because this is idea very dangerous to his political career and he is in his final extra time. Only can say, oh yeah, DBI better see the image of Babajan or Ghana. Say, papa, so bonny, Obama and what call so. Then, so, Koya DBH Ghana for a between and no deal so. And I don't think that this will happen. And what you said, Dankwa, the post now why here for now concerning a MPP premise now, it is so alarming. Settings are changing and things are swiftly changing. Because I can see say Nkofo talking to Japan in the campaign but but we have people here almost spread it in Japan. Some of can maybe a term attended including the attachment that is the Kufado, the factor. Anybody the factor attachment could never do that is Obiako AU or see a GVC a Marafaka one can send degree. These are the people omu eye adwuma na nkofo nso ne machi esa na di home. And I think say ebia no na ebema Kennedy we tikakra but for now the ochi Musa Dankwa na say Bawumia eniya ye kwa koto trainers na Bawumia can win about 41. That is about 38 and 41 day. It is a 5 and 6. Papa. Anyway, that is the Bible. And then you see, now more castle matter in so light, but no, Mumpanchen, a light on one electricity tariff. Now, my year home broadcast pen until say, name me Kotobi, and I'm share the number of taxes a guso. Any ye me to ya muti ya mudimamia. Mumian kind of correct. Ghana, Nindia Koso, Ewo, GRA, Ghana Revenue Authority. Because all these taxes, ye beji, at the end of the year, no, that's at the end of the 10 year, aban ni baba be catch say, because of nyema mienu mi nsebiti, yentimi enyimu kwan, yentimi ensi hospital, yentimi ama kwada amuka je PCHS omo ndidi ye, yentimi ama training colleges omo alawa, yentimi ama nursing trainings omo alawa. And I ask myself, where are all this money going to? And as I say, it's kind of mojiji na here fine fa. Because okay and light bo prepaid bo modi atoso oto now we taxes e gusua. The Ghana is a serious country bia and by now say ka ya kwan na ya asphalt. Me kanama can be abandada na etwam repeated the same mistake and we all condemned it. You are John Muhammad Fe na wenye and we know say Ghana da wakuma so as you claim and we can see ye hu kakra. But from next year cause anyema we man hwe so anye because we told Ghanaians say dollar number former things are going to turn around and some of these things like water bill, electricity tariffs and those utility bills coming down. And see what is happening to our electricity. Although say na kuparity so now be water bill, yes, and you know it. But let me tell you, that is why we changed that government and we brought NDC. So we have brought you people to power. The only thing you can do to sustain, the only thing you can do to impress Ghanaians, they are very, very simple things, such as the dollar rate, money, such as the goods price of goods and services to be reduced more. What kind of say road construction, you should do it, and just infrastructure, any name be brave. But what about this animal, a bulk of worker, or do on man, and you know, say essential goods, you cannot do without those life in this animal, although say any need, but a want, you cannot live without those things. And you people have to take very, 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 a swift, concentration on that aspect. And this you could do your best and people will spread those things. And you know, some of the gullible Ghanaians will believe it. The gullible Ghanaians, they are going to believe it. And it will shock you the results that will come out from it. Me, where I my doing chiro, it's meaning there was in fact, I spread the conversation and I say, you continue conversation on the platform. Bye bye.